What up, bitches? It's the misanthropic one, aka He Who Hungers, and I'm back up in this bitch for another rant/review. Today I want to talk about this album right here, N9ne's latest album titled N9na, spelled N9na. All right. Shout out to N9ne. Again, I'm forever grateful for you putting me on your site years ago. But yeah, N9ne is the gift that keeps on giving. Latest album, I've talked about him before. Y'all should know who he is by now. Yeah, one of the biggest names on the underground circuit, probably the biggest successfully, monetarily as well. Now he's back with this new album, N9na. Now, I gotta call you out, N9ne, because you try to pull a fast one on a brother like me, because this album was being marketed as, hey man, this album's gonna have no features, and I was hearing that type of shit. So I'm like, oh shit, or limited features. That was the last thing I heard. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be hot. He's going back to the days of Calm Before the Storm and what the hell's the, like Absolute Power or Celsius, I believe. I believe Celsius. I haven't listened to that in a while, but I don't remember if that had a lot of features on it. But I was like, okay, cool, you know, because N9ne has a lot of features on his albums. I mean, granted, his albums are still hot, but you know, I want to hear, you know, I want to see him go in, especially now that he has a lot of momentum behind him as far as releasing albums and people actually acknowledging him for his skill. You know, I want to see him hold his own, at least for one album, you know. But this album here, well, let me put that on pause for a minute. I gotta do it in my order. I'm sorry, I'm sort of getting off track. Artwork. You got N9ne here sweating his ass off on the cover. Got half of his face there. Very basic cover. On the back, you got the other half right there, along with the track listing. Got 21 tracks on this bitch, minus track 1, which is the intro. Open this bitch up. Very simple. N9ne CD over here. Nothing going on back there. Open this bad boy up. You got the credits, text face, more credits, and let's jump into the producers. All right. So you have Dominic Sanders, Michael Seven Summer. Shout out to Seven. That is N9ne's go-to guy for production for a while. You have Freak Van Workum, It's Nicholas, and HNDRC. So a lot of these are going to repeat themselves, okay? Yep. You have King ISO. You have a co-production credit by Alexander West. Yeah, so it was mainly Seven and Freak Van Workum and It's Nicholas and HNDRC that were all over this album. It did have a sound that followed each other for the most part. Well, I'll get into that later as well. Features. um, and to his credit, by the way, going back to what I was rambling about, they are all, I believe, strange music artists. So I think that's what he was going for, just staying in-house this time instead of reaching out like he usually does. So you have JL, King ISO, who I mentioned before, who also produced on this album. Futuristic, of course, you have Chris Calico on here. You have Nave Monjo, is that how you say that name? C-Mob, Jelly Roll, and Church Boy. Now, getting into the meat and potatoes of the shit, like I was saying before, I to continue from the whole feature shit, I guess I should have known as well, because when I went and got this, I heard that he released 2 EPs before this called the N9ne Collection, and at first I avoided it because, you know, I figured it was a greatest hits, because anytime you hear collection, it's usually a greatest hits, and I'm like, nah, I got all Tech N9ne shit, so I'm not gonna deal with that. But it turns out it was like 2 EPs. You had N9ne Collection 1 and then N9ne Collection 2, which had tracks that consisted of stuff that ended up on here. So I guess if I wasn't being too ignorant, I would have known that some of the tracks that would have appeared on here had features on them. And with the features, even though they were in-house, you still got they were still featured. There's still a lot of features on here, as you can see. So you're trying to pull a fast one, Tech N9ne. I'm calling you on that. All right. Songs were still hot though, I will admit. And as far as the production, like I said, or was trying to say before, he stayed within the same realm, like dealing with the same producers, more or less, the whole album. So overall, y'all know the Tech N9ne sound. It's not too gritty, but it's not too clean at the same time. Like, he's able to make, I've said this in the past, that's one of Tech N9ne's strengths. Like, he's able to make a song that you would think could be played on the radio or in a club, but it's not too clubbish, you know what I mean? Because he has his raw style and his very lyrical style, you know, that's very uncompromising. That's why I think he's very successful, you know what I mean? As far as content on here, you have an album chock full of it. I love how this album starts off with Lord of Weird. That track is basically about, and you've heard him talk about this shit before, how he is viewed because, you know, when he first dropped, well, no, not talking about, you know, Celsius and all that, but when he first started getting, like, really looked at with Angelic and Absolute Power and all that shit, you know, he was having the, you know, the red hair, and, you know, people were saying he's weird, but he embraces it. He also goes back to that on track 20, which is one of the last tracks, called I Caught Crazy, which is a track where he's saying basically, like, I caught crazy, like I caught the flu or I caught some type of disease and I'm not letting it go. And I love that. Listen, it is what it is. I am who I am. You either accept it or you fuck off. Love that attitude. But he's talked about it several times before, but I like the way he freaks it. Get your mind out of the gutter. I didn't mean it like that. One of his singles, Like I Ain't, love that track. He has a video for it. That track, I love the meaning behind it. And it's basically what I've been describing as far as his style. He's saying, I'm going to be rapping like I ain't this, like I ain't met Travis, like I ain't dropped this, like I ain't popular. Like, basically he's still saying that he's hungry, you know what I mean? And he still sounds it. So what else? HOB, which I haven't found the acronym for it, but I'm assuming, someone correct me if I'm wrong, I think it means History of Bitches. And if you listen to that song, you'll know that why I came to that conclusion. But yeah, without rambling on and on, I really enjoyed this album. It's Tech N9ne, man. I love the fact that he will not compromise his style, and shout out to him. My rating of this, I could see this at a 8 easy. Love Tech N9ne's releases. Pick it up, man. Everybody else, y'all know the deal. Leave your love, leave your hate. Most of all, subscribe. Please upvote my shit, share my shit, and that's it. Support dope shit, and peace, bitches.